Or you're gonna? Good afternoon. Welcome everybody to our quarterly ICROC committee meeting. And Superintendent of Schools, board members, school staff, visitors, welcome. My name is Jane Morley. I'm the chairman of the ICROC committee board. I want to share this with all of you. The mission of the Citizens Oversight Committee is to provide oversight to ensure proper fiscal stewardship of operating funds provided by the One Mill tax referendum. We are all volunteers appointed by the school board, and the referendum mandated this committee. As you can see, today, we don't have that many board members showing up, so unfortunately, we're not gonna have a quorum to do certain things. With that being said, I hope all the school board members will take on the responsibility and appoint board members for the next term. I would like to hand it over to our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Diana Gullett.
Good afternoon. It's great to see you all. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. And before we get started, I want to say a thank you as well to my board, our school board members, and especially to Chair Allison Campbell, who is here with us this afternoon. So thank you again for your support. Just a high-level update of the great things happening in Marion County. I want to start by saying thank you, especially as it relates to this work and our commitment to career and technical education to prepare our students for success and for options for their future and in the workforce. We were very pleased and delighted to receive $5.57 million in appropriations from our legislature this year, and that will allow us to have expansion of our Marion Technical College wing, which will directly impact our community. That wing will include a mechanics operation that will provide support and training to our current and future students as well as our adults in the community for aviation and mechanics, other different types of things that will evolve over time. Diesel's one of those. Diesel mechanics right now are in high demand. And so this is something that directly came from our community of need. We have to remain agile and adaptive to whatever our needs are for now and for the future. So I'm just really appreciative of everyone in Tallahassee who has supported us. And we will see a great return here in Marion County for years to come. Also want to talk a little bit more about CTE and some of the great partnerships we're having to support our students. We have our first of its kind equine program in the state that was adopted by the Department of Education, North Marion High School, great partnership with our community leaders and our equine professionals to prepare our students there in our schools, and we are incredibly grateful to prepare our students for not just equine as a hobby, but also for workforce. So really excited about that. Another one of a real original partnership that we have that was just recently adopted with our Chamber and Economic Partnership Group is Optimum RV. Our board approved a unique partnership with them at Bellevue High School. And so our students will get workforce ready skills directly with community leaders in a business right there in the community. So again, thinking outside the box to ensure that our students have real-time relevant training, and we're also working, as you know, in the commitment of progression of knowledge that does not start in high school, it doesn't even start in middle, but it starts in elementary school. And with that said, I'm also pleased to announce that we are also launching an aviation academy at Spar Elementary School. And so again, we get our students ready for their future in the earliest grades. So really excited about that. It's hard to imagine that summer is almost over, but we're excited about our students coming back on August 10th. And our teachers are already hard at work readying our students for the first day officially of school. I was with new teachers last week that they were doing kind of a boot camp and welcomed more than 100 of our brand new teachers back. And then we have them back for Great Beginnings next week. All of our teachers get the skills and training and opportunity to get to know one another. We're really excited about those opportunities. So appreciate all that you do to support our students. A lot of innovative ideas are underway and in place for our students and providing them choice. So again, appreciative of all of you and our community and my board and my team as well. So speaking of teams, I'm going to have Ms. Boston Ellis, our Chief Financial Officer, come forward and kick off tonight's presentation, and you'll get to hear from other amazing team members about the great work happening in Marion County. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As usual, it is our pleasure to provide an update to you concerning the use of funds in the referendum dollars. So we'll get started. This is the last quarter, but please know, as we've done in the past, when we do the first quarter in September, October, we will bring you the final June, because right now we're still paying bills for the end of June, but we had to cut off sooner in order to provide this information. So it'll be updated as we've done in the past when we have the first quarter meeting. Tonight for our presenters, we have just a few changes. Ms. Audie who is a coordinator of CTE, she will present the vocational, and we also have Danielle Chauncey, who is a coordinator in professional leadership and learning. She'll present the professional learning segment. As you've seen in the past meetings, this is an accumulation of all of our revenue collections as well as our expenditures since the inception of the referendum. The very last item, the 22-23, just wanted to point out that we're still using budget because we have not finalized our June numbers. So the revenue totals, including that budget, $163 million that our community has supported the school district through the referendum. And it includes, of course, support of our library and media, our vocational programs. It helps us meet class size and maintain and retain our state certified teachers, paraprofessionals, and the new item that was in our second referendum is school safety. So again, our projected total revenues was $163 million through the inception of the referendum, and total expenditures, projected expenditures, $153 million. Both of these charts are reflecting the revenues. Even though we had budgeted $28.4 million in revenue, as of this report, we had only received 27.7. But I've seen some collections since the report was done, and it will probably exceed what was budgeted. Also, our expenditures, 24.5, these are actual expenditures. We're about 95%. Again, there may be some additional expenditures that will be caught up next fiscal year, which is really this fiscal year now. This time of year, we're working in both years, 22-23 and 23-24. So again, you can see on this slide where our total budgeted expenditures for this year is $25.9 million. About 48% of those dollars are to cover the costs of a class size teachers as well as paraprofessionals. And we'll look at that in more detail. The next highest is school safety. As we ramp up and continue to ensure that our schools are safe, these are additional expenditures that have occurred in the entire program. The next slide is basically, again, providing you actual expenditures per year. And you can see that Safe Schools, we've spent about $8.1 million in the last 4 years since it was added to the referendum language. Our beginning fund balance for 22-23 was $8.4 million. Our budgeted expenditures, our budgeted revenue, 28.4, budgeted expenditures, 25.9. So we're anticipating ending fund balance of about 10.9 million, and it's really around 11 million when you look at where we are today. So as you recall, those dollars will be restricted, and they will carry over to the 23-24 year. So they don't get commingled in the general fund operating. This is a separate funding source. Our first item is class size, friendly faces. We always keep our students in the forefront. Dr. Gullett reminds us all the time that our mission is to do what's best for our students. So we have to keep them in the forefront of every decision that we make. So we're going to look at the first program, which again is class size reduction. We had originally budgeted 129. Actual teachers at the end of the year, the total was 121. Originally budgeted about 98 paraprofessionals, and at the end of the quarter, we had 94. So as of this report, we'd spent 95% of the budget, again, on salary and benefits of those employees. So next we'll talk about physical education.
Good afternoon. I'm wishing that I made my print on my paper a little larger right now. These are some photos that you'll see from the end of last school year, and May is crunch time really for required assessments across the county in every subject area. Our physical education teachers, they're able to incorporate fitness and fun at the end of the year, and they develop creative ways to celebrate the accomplishments of all our learners throughout the year. Coordinating events like this, glow parties, water days, faculty kickball games, are a way for our elementary physical educators to build relationships and get a healthy jump start on the summer for a lot of our students. These are very tiny prints. I felt like this is some pretty important information. We're talking about the health and the hard work that our physical educators do with our students every year. September and April are testing months for physical education. Coaches administer the Progressive Aerobic Cardiovascular Endurance Run, which is lovingly known as the PACER test. We have a pre-test and then a post-test again in May. And what that does is it helps us track the cardiovascular fitness of all of our students. Those tests are administered in 3rd through 5th grade. Many physical educators use this data to help students set personal fitness goals and then measure their success toward meeting their goals when they administer the post-test in the last quarter. Our goal as a county was to see an increase of 5% of our students moving into the Healthy Fitness Zone, or HVZ. Last year, our pre-test scores indicated that 68.4% of our students measured in the Healthy Fitness Zone. Post-test scores showed an increase of 5.1% to 73.5%, so we just met our goal. And if you get out your magnifying glass, you can see the school totals on those. There's also some more data that is really closely to what I work with every single day. Marion County elementary students get an average of 150 minutes of physical education per week. Of those minutes, the CDC recommends that 50% of that time be spent in moderate to vigorous physical activity, or MVPA. Data is collected regularly throughout the year. Randomly, I'll visit schools and just put little heart rate monitors on some students, and it measures their heart rate during a typical PE class. These heart rate monitors makes it possible to determine how much of an individual lesson is spent in the moderate to vigorous physical activity range. And that would include every moment from the time they walk out to class, from the time they sit down, receive initial instruction, through the very end of the class and the wrap-up. Our goal for our Marion County students was 60% of our teaching time to be spent in that MVPA, moderate to vigorous physical activity range. Last year, our elementary schools averaged 56.2% at the beginning of the year and 62% by year's end. So while you see the CDC recommends 50%, we pushed it a little bit, but we also still need to keep in mind that our teachers are teaching standards, it's standards-based instruction, and there is some instructional time that requires them to be seated and not actively moving the entire time. But that's just some number crunching for everyone. Thank you. Oh, did I not change it?
No, you didn't.
Yep, there it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we'll look at what was spent. First, I'd like to say that physical education covers the teachers as well as a PE technician, and these are the employees that support that PE class. So we originally budgeted 18, and we did have 18 at the end of the year. Originally budgeted 24 PE technicians, and we had 24 at the end of the year. So we've spent to date about 96% of that budget, the majority of it on salary and benefits. But as you recall, each elementary school is provided $2 per student to supplement the allocation that they receive from their school. So these dollars were used to, as you might imagine, to purchase equipment. Some of the items include hockey pucks, hot balls, dodgeballs, so those things that they utilize in their classroom. Next, we'll move on to the vocational programs. And Ms. Adi will come forth and represent the vocational programs.
Good afternoon. I'm excited to be sharing with you some of the wonderful things happening in our vocational programs. Pictured here is Miss Piner. She is our Vanguard High School Future Educators Academy teacher. We've really been working to build that Future Educators Academy and really create a pipeline to grow our own employees for the future. So here they are actually visiting Washington, D.C., and they got to tour and engage in the classrooms at the Paul Public Charter School, which is an exemplar school. So she took the students on an amazing trip. You can also see her students shadowing out in classrooms at both Howard Middle School and at Oakcrest Elementary. On the right is Dee Reedy. She's our industrial biotechnology and agriculture biotechnology teacher at North Marion High School. And we're really excited to say that she was just named the Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics Teacher of the Year by the Air and Space Forces Association. So she was actually nominated for this award for her work launching experiments into space with students over the last few years. So we're really proud of her. And that biotechnology lab at North Marion High School is a state-of-the-art biotechnology lab, and that was fully built and supported through referendum funding. Pictured here is our Westport High School engineering program. They partnered with the dual enrollment biology and AP capstone research programs this year and hosted their first ever academic symposium. Through this symposium, students shared projects that they had created. Two of my favorite projects was a device that prevents drowning, as well as they designed a city to be climate-friendly model society using existing square footage and population. That square footage and population when they did fully using the AutoCAD and SolidWorks software in their engineering classroom. As you know, Referendum has supported our new initiative to bring Project Lead the Way curriculum into our schools, and I'm excited to announce that Westport engineering program will actually be transitioning to a Project Lead the Way engineering program this school year. We offer CTE programs in all of the pathways listed on the screen at both the middle school and the high school level, and as you heard, we're starting to reach down into elementary levels as well. The items that we talked about on these previous slides are just a quick snapshot of all the wonderful things happening in our program. While Referendum supports some of our teachers, it supports all of our CTE programs through equipment and technology and training for our instructors as well. Without these funds, the gains and expansions we've been able to make in the field of CTE and vocational education would not be possible.
So let's reflect on vocational programs. It's a little bit different than the elementary school programs. This referendum supported originally 80 teaching units were budgeted, and we had 19 at the end of the fiscal year. 3 bus drivers is really just trip tickets that we use to transport the students from their base school to MTI and back. Also, some of those funds are used to do some trips, field trips. They spent about 98% of their budget, and in addition to salaries and expenditures, there were some equipment purchase and other materials and supplies that support this program. As you are well aware, vocational programs, while they are fantastic, they are expensive, and the referendum allows us to purchase the equipment that is current and able to help our students not to pass the industry certifications as well as help them in the job market. Now, Mr. Aaron Martin will talk to us about library and media.
Good afternoon, everyone. As we look back at the 22-23 circulation data, we find that our numbers are very close to the previous year's numbers, and I plan to continue to support our media specialists to continue growing their circulations in the upcoming school year. This summer, I had the opportunity to personally visit 14 of our summer school sites and read to over 1,700 of our elementary students who were in attendance. These sessions were roughly 20 minutes each on average, which means collectively our students heard 34,120 minutes of reading this summer. Our younger students heard 2 different versions of Little Red Riding Hood, and one was Ninja Red Riding Hood. They got a kick out of that. And they took a moment to compare and contrast different components of the story. Time permitting, they then heard an imaginative account of the rest of what happened to Humpty Dumpty after the fall. That's the title of the story, is After the Fall. Our older students heard a hilarious, fictitious account of a medieval peasant trying to change his fate in Once Upon a Tim. This book reinforces proper use of language patterns, introduces advanced vocabulary in an entertaining way as part of the story. And in the case of our students, I can personally attest that it sparked conversation as they learned a little information about what it was like to grow up as a peasant in the medieval era, what the author calls the olden times. Since we only had time to read the first couple chapters, I anticipate that book to be in high demand when our students return in just 2 short weeks from today. And I'm looking forward to this and many other exciting developments in our school media centers as we embark on the 23-24 school year.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Referendum supported 15 media specialists. They've spent to date 96% of their budget, again, predominantly for salaries and benefits. There were some purchases for materials and supplies and some equipment. Again, each elementary school received $2 for every student, and this again supplements their allocations from the schools. We'll move on to the arts, and I think we'll go ahead and do music at the same time, and then come back with the numbers.
A quick question that just occurred to me, that you say that it supplements. Is the same amount being spent out of the general budget as before we even got the referendum, and that it indeed is a supplement?
It is supposed to be a supplement, and each teacher receives an allocation from their instructional budget, and this is supposed to supplement the allocation they get. The allocation is different from each school, from school to school, if that answers your question. Yes, no?
Well, it would take looking at what the numbers were, I guess, prior to the referendum to determine if it indeed is a supplement rather than a replacement. But that was just a thought that crossed my mind. Hopefully it's a supplement.
Yes, it should be, because the schools are allocated their instructional dollars based on the number of students at that school. But each principal may have a different allocation, school to school. So I'm not really sure that we could give you the exact amount for each school, but they understand that this is a supplement to their funds.
Thank you.
All right, hello again, everyone. It's been a long time since I've been here. Between all of the art and music programs we have here in Marion County Public Schools, it seems there's always some wonderful student creations and performances to showcase. Here we have the the superintendent's art show, which was held in April and featured art projects from all of our schools. Each art teacher had the opportunity to choose a piece to be featured and recognized by our superintendent and by the community. The event was also catered by the culinary art students from Bellevue High School. You said proceed with music, okay. There we go. Several schools also hosted music performances to close out the school year. Here we see Fort McCoy School Band, their performance, and the All-County Choir, composed of middle school and high school students. The All-County Choir performance took place at the Riley Art Center. And here we have the Shady Hill Harmony, one of our elementary school chorus programs. They had the opportunity to travel to the University of Florida and perform at a men's basketball game. This is the 4th year since 2018 they were invited back to perform. If you look at the slide there, it appears they may have missed a couple of years due to the pandemic, but they seem to love having them, and we love having them go. Though they are not pictured, I feel I should mention the Forest High School Band Program was recently recognized at a school board meeting for celebrating 100 years of school band programming. I'm told this is the longest continuously running program in the state, so we're very proud that the referendum is helping that to continue. And we look forward to all the exciting performances and creations we'll get to witness in the upcoming school year.
It's amazing news. 100 years.
So we'll start with art. As many of you know, our coordinator resigned, so that's why it's reflecting a 0, but that position has been supported by other departments, and we will have a new one in the 23-24 year. So it supports 16.5 art teachers and 8.5 paraprofessionals that assist the teachers in the classrooms, in the art classrooms. They've spent about 90% of their budget, again, based on salaries, benefits, and materials, supplies, and some equipment. For the music side of the program, referendum supported 17.5 music teachers and 8.5 paraprofessionals supporting the music teachers. In addition to that, the referendum also provided an additional allocation to our music programs. Typically, it would have been the band, but these dollars were extended to all music programs in those schools. They've spent 93% of their budget, again, mostly salary benefits, some equipment, and materials and supplies. The utilities refer to a field trip and the gas that's charged there. Our next program is professional learning, and I believe we have Ms. Chauncey here to discuss that.
Thank you, Ms. Boston.
Good to see you.
You too. Good afternoon. My name is Ms. Chauncey, and I'm the coordinator of professional leadership and learning. And I have the pleasure of sharing with you the end of the year updates on behalf of Ms. Biddick. Marion County's Mentoring and Induction Program concluded the 22-23 school year with a grand total of 351 mentors serving in the role of instructional talent developer, supporting our newest instructional employees in their practice. So we have that fancy ITD name. And each of those 351 mentors, you can see represented in this table, were compensated for their time they allocated to supporting their novice educator as a result of the referendum funds. We are happy to report that this project distributed 99.65% of the budgeted funds this school year, something that I have heard we have not accomplished in recent years, and Ms. Biddick is truly proud of her team for accomplishing that. This is largely in part of this year's new initiative that was sponsored and really spearheaded by our wonderful superintendent, Dr. Gullett, which removed the barrier of time. It's always a huge barrier, and we wanted to remove that. And what does that mean? Well, the program continued to match novice educators with mentors regardless of their start date. So I can remind you of some of that history. It used to be in January, mentors were no longer matched with new educators that were hired. And we wanted to, with the leadership, we were able to remove that barrier. And now we have next year, 63 of those teachers who were served in mentorship this year will continue their mentorship through the beginning of the 23-24 school year, because we're going to continue to seek to provide them 30 hours of that mentoring support. So every new educator in Marion County will get 30 hours of mentoring support no matter their start date. So thanks for your time. The Professional Leadership and Learning team looks forward to another year of accelerating success in Marion County with your support.
As Ms. Chauncey stated, the program is about 99.4% spent, and you might have recalled that in the past, we typically pay out in July for work that was done in June, but at this time, we were able to complete the programs and pay out those dollars before the end of the fiscal year. It says salary and benefits, but those are typically the mentor stipends. That's what that covers. And they do have some purchase services and some licensing agreement. Next, we'll go to safety, our newest member to the family, Mr. McFadden.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and here we are again as we get ready to close out this quarter. We like to say that as far as school safety is concerned, it's something that we'll never bring an end to or a close to. We'll continuously, each and every day, collaborate, meet together, and try to find different ways to provide a safe learning and working environment for our students and our staff. As you can see here, this is the last door buzzer that was installed within Marion County Public Schools. And as we bring that door buzzer program to a close, we are able to embark on other security measures to improve school security for the district. We're looking at other schools that may need door buzzers for maybe extended day in some other areas of the county, but we're happy to say that we brought our door buzzer project to a pretty close finale to where we got all of our schools has door buzzers as you approach them. Camera projects is pretty much the same thing. We have 8 cameras, a minimum at each elementary school, 14 cameras at a minimum at the middle schools, and 20 cameras at a minimum at each high school. Some have more, but we're looking to go back. Now that we've got cameras at all the schools, we're looking to go back to add more cameras to enhance those security measures that we've been really gracious enough to be allowed to, with the guidance of Dr. Gullett, the board, and you providing us with the funding to do so. We're just on a great pace. We got completed way ahead of schedule, and we're so proud of that because we worked together again with just about every department, technology, tech services, Mr. Boston Ellis and her department. Just so many people work together to make this happen quicker, a lot quicker than was anticipated. So we're, again, excited about our camera program and what we're doing in our schools, but we're going to continuously work hard and putting cameras, again, in other critical areas of our schools. One of the other things we're doing, as we started putting up fences, which doesn't cover, the referendum doesn't cover that, but these key cylinders do. And as we started putting up fences, we was realizing that there's no way we were keeping people out, but we wasn't letting people get in. Some of the parking lots where we've got teachers and other staff coming onto our campuses, they would have to walk a tremendous distance to get on the campus. But if something happened and it was critical, we needed to put these key cylinders in strategic locations so our staff can get on and off campus in a timely manner. So we're starting putting these key cylinders, 3 or 4 at each school, so that so that our schools and our school personnel can get to and from the campus in a timely manner in different locations. One of the things we also that covers our school security is our SROs. You know, we have a great working relationship with Marion County Sheriff's Office, Ocala Police Department, as well as Bellevue Police Department, and there is some referendum funding that pays for them. But all of these school hardening measures that we've got in place is critical to the safe learning and working environment of our students and our staff, and we thank you for what all you're doing for us. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
All these cameras that are in place, do we have staff to monitor them, and is that being monitored around the clock?
No, ma'am. The cameras are not continuously monitored. That would require really hiring a staff, but what we do, we have that camera access is given to at least 3-4 people on the campuses, to include the SROs in some cases, as well as my staff. So there's times where my secretary, myself, my team, we're watching cameras, but we don't monitor them constantly, but we do use them to go back and review incidents that may happen on the campuses. It's a huge task to try and monitor them 24/7. Although the cameras are running 24/7, they're not monitored 24/7.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McFadden. As he mentioned, the predominant dollars are spent on our SRO costs. A portion of that is charged to the general fund, but also a portion is charged to the referendum. We also have guardians that are paid out of those dollars, and some of the equipment. As Mr. McFadden mentioned, we are not allowed to use the referendum for fencing. That's outside of the scope of operating. So we not only use general fund for the fencing, but we've also received grants in the last 3 or 4 years. So that also supports the cause of the referendum, but it's being paid out of general fund. Are there any additional questions?
No.
Again, thank you for your time. We realize that you are volunteers, but we are pleased that you are supporting this effort. And again, we just thank you for your time.
Listening to all of you, I feel tremendous gratitude to what is happening within the school system, and I'm sure our taxpayers feel the same way. With that being said, I would like to see if the board members have anything to say. Diana? Bobby? Yeah. Due to the 2024 budget, the school system is There is no quorum, being 3 board members present. We're not going to have any acceptance of the meeting minutes. And this is our last meeting for this term. And I'm hoping that the next quarterly meeting, we can meet up with all the board members and see if we can get some more board members appointed, volunteers appointed to the ICROC committee. 2 members have resigned, and that is Dr. Barbara Brooks has resigned, and she mentioned to me that she sent Reverend Eric Cummings a note that she is resigning from her position, and also Beverly Keown. She was appointed by Ms. Nancy Trower from District 4. So if we can get some replacement for those positions, we would greatly appreciate it. Any other comments? Danny, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think there's even at least one board member that hasn't assigned anyone yet. And it'd be nice to somehow make everyone accountable. I don't know how we do that. I wonder if that's something that we could put on an agenda item at a regular board meeting. How do we compel people to appoint?
If I may, Madam Chair, members of the committee, this is a board committee, but I'm certainly happy to talk with the chair, and we'll take this back to the board members to make sure, coordinate with each of the board members that they have provided, I believe, not just a name, but also a backup, an alternate committee member representation for their district. So we'll make sure that we do that. And as we begin the next cycle, we'll have those ready to go forward. I'm happy to work with the board on that.
We would love to see that happening.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely, we would too. Thank you so much. We appreciate your service.
Thank you. With that, I would like to adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for coming, and see you at the next meeting. Good evening.